362,000 units deployed in a single month. A record-breaking offensive that has stunned the global automotive theater. While the world looked east, the true industrial titan was rising in the south. Mexico has just shattered its own historical ceilings, redefining North American manufacturing power. This is not a drill. This is a full-scale industrial mobilization. The factories of Baguio in the north are running at tactical maximum capacity. U.S. rivals are not just being matched. They are being outpaced in critical strategic sectors. Exports have surged to over 330,000 vehicles in a 30-day window. General Motors in Mexico is now outperforming entire national industries in Europe. Nissan, Toyota, and Ford have turned Mexican soil into their primary heavy artillery foundation. The Made in Mexico stamp is now the ultimate badge of logistical superiority. We are witnessing a shift in the center of gravity for the Western Hemisphere's economy. Support the channel now to stay briefed on this unfolding industrial dominance. Subscribe for the truth. The numbers don't lie. Mexico is now the undisputed engine of the continent. Welcome to the front lines of the Mexican economic miracle. The geographical layout of this industrial offensive is nothing short of a fortress. We are looking at a tactical spread that covers the most strategic coordinates of the Mexican territory. From the arid deserts of Sonora to the central highlands of Guanajuato, the country has been transformed into a contiguous production zone. This is the golden triangle of manufacturing, a heavily fortified corridor where the hum of machinery never ceases. The scale is staggering. We are talking about facilities that span millions of square feet, effectively sovereign city-states dedicated to the art of mechanical creation. At the heart of this arsenal lies the Baguio region, the tactical command center for Japanese and European operations. Here, the density of Tier 1 and Tier 2 suppliers creates a logistical web so tight it is impenetrable to disruption. It is a cluster of high-precision engineering where raw steel enters and sophisticated mobility solutions exit. The infrastructure is built for heavy combat-level throughput, rail lines connecting directly to the U.S. border, highways engineered for heavy freight, and customs ports operating with military efficiency to clear megatons of cargo daily. Consider the firepower of the General Motors complex in Ramos Arizpe. This is not just a factory. It is a titan of the electric age. It has been retooled and fortified to lead the charge into the future of mobility. The sheer volume of steel, lithium, and aluminum processing that occurs here rivals the output of small nations. It is a facility that operates on a war-footing schedule, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, churning out the heavy hitters like the Chevrolet Blazer EV and the Equinox EV. The precision required here is measured in microns, and the output is measured in hundreds of thousands of units. Then we have the Nissan heavyweights in Aguascalientes. These plants are legendary for their synchronization and speed. They operate with the discipline of an elite regiment. The production lines are a blur of motion, orchestrated by algorithms and executed by a workforce that is arguably the most skilled in the hemisphere. The Sentra and Kicks are not just cars. They are the ammunition of Mexico's export strategy, flooding markets with a reliability that has become the gold standard. The facility's ability to switch between models without halting the line is a tactical advantage that leaves competitors scrambling to catch up. Move north to the border states, and the landscape changes to heavy-duty artillery. This is truck country. The Ford plant in Cuautitlan is the birthplace of the Mustang Mach-E, a vehicle that challenges the very definition of American muscle, now forged by Mexican hands. The assembly lines here are a testament to adaptation and high-tech warfare. High-voltage battery assembly, advanced composite molding, and software integration happen simultaneously. It is a cyber-physical system of production that puts Mexico at the vanguard of the electric revolution. The Volkswagen plant in Puebla acts as the heavy infantry of this sector. It is one of the largest vehicle plants in the Western world, a sprawling complex that houses its own fire department, medical center, and security force. It is a self-sustaining industrial organism. The Jetta and the Tiguan produced here are the veterans of the export market, units that have secured Mexico's foothold in the global arena for decades. The stamping presses here strike with the force of an earthquake, shaping the armored shells of vehicles that will patrol the streets of New York, Berlin, and Toronto. But the arsenal is not limited to the final assembly. The supply chain is the logistical backbone of this operation. Mexico has mobilized an army of over 1 million workers in the auto parts sector alone. We are talking about the production of essential components, wiring harnesses that act as the nervous system of modern vehicles, engine blocks cast from molten aluminum, and transmission systems with the complexity of a Swiss watch. Companies like Nemak and Metalsa are the unsung generals of this war, providing the structural integrity for vehicles assembled across the entire planet. The strategic reserves of lithium and the proximity to the U.S. market provide Mexico with a geographical advantage that cannot be replicated. While transoceanic supply chains are vulnerable to disruption and geopolitical storms, Mexico's supply lines are short, hardened, and overland. A truck leaving Monterrey hits the Texas border in hours, not weeks. This nearshoring capability is the tactical equivalent of having your ammunition depot right next to the artillery line. It allows for just-in-time delivery protocols that are tighter than a drum. The recent arrival of Asian heavyweights adding to the production capacity has only deepened the defensive lines. They are setting up shop, bringing advanced robotics and new methodologies, but they are operating under the Mexican flag of production. They are hiring Mexican engineers, using Mexican energy, and strengthening the Mexican industrial base. This influx of capital is fortifying the sector against any external economic shocks. The factories are being upgraded with Industry 4.0 technologies, sensors, AI diagnostics, and autonomous logistics vehicles that roam the factory floors like drones. This industrial machine is fueled by an energy infrastructure that is being pushed to its limits to serve the cause. Natural gas pipelines from the north feed the furnaces of the foundries. High-voltage transmission lines power the robotic arms that weld chassis with blinding speed. The entire nation's grid is, in many ways, the heartbeat of this sector. Every kilowatt directed to these plants is an investment in national sovereignty. The ability to maintain this energy flow is a matter of national security, ensuring that the production lines never fall silent. The arsenal phase of this operation is complete. Mexico has the weapons, the ammunition, and the fortifications. The factories are the silos, the workers are the troops, and the vehicles are the projectiles aimed at the global market. The sheer density of this industrial buildup is intimidating to rivals. It sends a clear message. Mexico is not just participating in the global auto industry, it is anchoring it. The capacity to produce nearly 4 million units a year is not just a statistic. It is a declaration of industrial power. Transitioning to the intelligence and detection capabilities of this sector, we must understand that modern manufacturing is an information war. The Mexican automotive complex operates on a level of digital sophistication that rivals military command centers. Before a single sheet of metal is cut, the entire production run is simulated in the digital realm. This is the digital twin technology, a radar system that predicts bottlenecks, failures, and shortages before they happen physically. The logistics network is the surveillance grid of this operation. Every part, from the smallest semiconductor to the largest engine block, is tracked via RFID and GPS in real time. The control towers in Mexico City and Monterrey monitor the movement of thousands of trucks and train cars simultaneously. They can detect a delay at a border crossing or a weather event in the Gulf and reroute supplies instantly. This is tactical adaptability. It ensures that the assembly lines are fed with a relentless rhythm, eliminating the fog of war that plagues less advanced industries. Quality control in these Mexican plants utilizes advanced optics and sensor arrays. We are talking about automated visual inspection systems that scan every millimeter of the vehicle body for imperfections. Laser measurement tools verify the gap between panels to the fraction of a millimeter. This is the targeting system ensuring that every unit deployed meets the strictest criteria. A defect is treated as a hostile intrusion, identified, isolated, and neutralized before the vehicle ever reaches the end of the line. The human intelligence element is equally critical. Mexican engineers are the elite officers of this domain. They are not just operators, they are innovators. The training centers in states like Querétaro and Puebla are the academies turning out a workforce fluent in mechatronics, robotics, and software engineering. They speak the language of the machines. They analyze the data streams from the KUKA and FANUC robots, optimizing the torque curves and the welding temperatures. This intellectual capital is the software that runs the hardware of the industry. We also have to talk about the detection of market trends. The Mexican industry has shown an uncanny ability to pivot. When the intelligence signaled a shift to SUVs and light trucks in the U.S. market, Mexican plants retooled with lightning speed. When the radar picked up the electric vehicle revolution, facilities like Cuautitlan and Ramos Arizpe were converted before competitors could finish their feasibility studies. This strategic foresight is what allows Mexico to stay ahead of the curve, anticipating the enemy's moves in this case. Market demand and meeting them with overwhelming force. The integration with North American data networks means that a car ordered in a dealership in Chicago triggers a signal in a factory in Silo within minutes. This is the sensor two-shooter loop of the automotive world. The production order is generated, the parts are sequenced, and the assembly slot is assigned. There is no wasted motion, no idle inventory. It is a lean, mean, data-driven machine that relies on absolute precision. The error margin is zero. The tolerance for delay is zero. Cybersecurity within these plants is paramount. As these facilities become more connected, they become fortresses of data. The intellectual property of the next generation of vehicles is guarded behind firewalls as thick as physical bank vaults. The blueprints for the latest EV batteries, the code for the autonomous driving assist systems, all of this resides on servers within the Mexican jurisdiction. Protecting this data is a matter of national industrial sovereignty, ensuring that the technological edge remains in Mexican hands. Now, we enter the confrontation phase. The timeline is now. The location, the assembly floor, the atmosphere is heavy with the smell of ozone and hydraulic fluid. The noise is a rhythmic, deafening roar, the heartbeat of the industrial beast. 6 o'clock hours. The shift change. The fresh battalion of technicians floods the floor. They don their protective gear, safety glasses, steel-toed boots, cut-resistant gloves. This is their armor. They take their stations with the discipline of a firing squad. 6:05 hours. The line starts moving. It begins in the press shop. giant stamping presses, applying thousands of tons of force, slam down on sheets of steel. Boom, boom, boom. The ground shakes. This is the violent birth of the chassis. Flat metal is forced into the complex curves of a fender, a hood, a door panel. The precision here is lethal. A variance of a hair's width is a mission failure. The robots transfer the stamped panels with jerky, precise movements, stacking them for the next phase. 6:30 hours. The body shop. This is where the sparks flee. Literally, hundreds of robotic arms surround the skeletal frame of the vehicle. They look like mechanical predators, pecking at the steel carcass. Spot welders discharge high current bursts, fusing the metal together. ZZZZT, ZZZCT. The shower of sparks cascades down, bouncing off the concrete. The smell of burning metal fills the air. It is a chaotic dance choreographed to the second. Lasers scan the geometry of the frame in real time, ensuring structural rigidity. This is where the vehicle gets its strength, its ability to protect its occupants. It is being forged in fire. 7:45 hours. The paint shop. The environment changes drastically. We enter a clean room, a sterile zone. The air is filtered. The technicians wear Tyvek suits. The vehicle bodies, now assembled, are dipped into massive pools of anti-corrosion chemicals. They are submerged like submarines, coated inside and out. Then, the painting robots take over. High-speed bells spin at thousands of RPMs, atomizing the paint into a fine mist. The electrostatic charge pulls the paint to the metal. It is a silent, ghostly operation. The result is a flawless, armored skin that seals the steel against the elements. 9 o'clock hours. General assembly. The confrontation intensifies. This is where the machine comes alive. The doors are removed to allow access to the interior. The chassis moves overhead on a massive conveyor system. The marriage takes place, the dramatic moment where the body is lowered onto the powertrain engine and suspension. Massive bolts are driven home by high-torque guns. Work-lack, work-lack. The suspension is compressed. The engine mounts engage. The vehicle now has a heart and legs. 10:30 hours. The cockpit installation. Robotic arms manipulate the entire dashboard assembly through the door opening. It is a tight fit, a tactical maneuver requiring absolute spatial awareness. Humans and robots work side by side. The wiring harness miles of copper capabilities connected. The brain of the car wakes up, screens flicker to life. The seats are installed, bolting the pilot into the machine. The windshield is applied with robotic precision, the adhesive acting as a structural bond. 11:15 hours. The fluids and first ignition. The vehicle reaches the end of the line. It is thirsty. Nozzles descend, injecting oil, coolant, brake fluid, and fuel. The systems are pressurized. Then, the moment of truth, a technician slides into the driver's seat. He pushes the start button. The engine roars to life, for the electric motors hum with deadly potential. The wheels spin on the rolling road, testing the transmission, the brakes, the abs. The vehicle is sprinting in place, screaming its readiness. 12 o'clock hours. Quality gauntlet. The car is driven off the line, but the battle isn't over. It enters the shaker track to test for rattles. It is driven through a monsoon chamber to test for leaks. It is subjected to bright lights to check paint finish. Every gap is measured again. Only the perfect units survive this call. Those that fail are pulled aside for reworking, a tactical retreat to fix the issue. The survivors are lined up in the marshalling yard, row after row of gleaming metal, a legion ready for deployment. The confrontation is continuous. Every 60 seconds, another unit rolls off. 60 per hour, 1,400 per day per plant. This is a relentless barrage of productivity. The stamina of the workforce is tested. The reliability of the machines is pushed to the breaking point. But the line does not stop. It is a testament to the Mexican resolve. The sheer physical exertion of this process, multiplied by millions of units, represents a kinetic energy that is powering the national economy. This is not just manufacturing. This is a triumph of will and organization. Now, we assess the saldo outcome of this grand operation. The numbers from the latest reports confirm a decisive victory. Record output, record exports. The Mexican automotive sector has not just recovered, it has mutated into a stronger, faster, more lethal competitor. The data shows Mexico overtaking U.S. rivals in the export of specific light vehicle segments to the U.S. market itself. It is an irony of the highest order. The U.S. consumer is driving the Mexican economy, and the Mexican worker is keeping the U.S. mobile. The surplus generated by this industry is the war chest of the nation. Billions of dollars flowing into the Mexican treasury, stabilizing the peso, funding infrastructure, and signaling to the world that Mexico is a safe harbor for capital. The Made in Mexico label has evolved. It no longer implies just cheap labor. It now implies global standard quality. It implies resilience. When supply chains in Asia buckled, Mexico stood firm. When European energy costs skyrocketed, Mexico kept the lights on. The message to the world is clear. Mexico has defended its industrial sovereignty. It has protected its borders by making them the busiest commercial crossings on the planet. The thousands of trucks crossing Laredo every day are not just carrying cars. They are carrying the proof of Mexican discipline. The enemy here was stagnation, inefficiency, and economic dependence. That enemy has been neutralized.